Hello and welcome to the official pre-show for Spectrum Wrestling's first ever event, Rejoice. My name's Laura Kate Dale, I also go by Laura K Buzz online, and for the next 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more, I'm going to be giving you the lowdown on everything you need to know to enjoy all of the wrestling matches from Spectrum's first event, Rejoice. Whether you are a UK indie wrestling expert or a complete beginner who's never watched a wrestling match in your life, I'm here to try and let you know everything you're going to need to know to enjoy all of these matches to the fullest. Over roughly half an hour, I'm going to be running through all of the major matches, telling you a little bit of history about each of the wrestlers, what their gimmicks are, what their storylines are, their personalities, who's a hero, who's a villain, and what the stakes of each of tonight's matches are going to be. Once this pre-show is done, I'm also going to be on commentary for the fancy edited uploads of all the matches, so you can hear all of my thoughts about each of tonight's fights, as well as reminders of the plot and the stakes for each of these matches. However, as you might know, I'm not super experienced as a wrestling commentator. I've done some of this before, but some of this is new. So I'm going to be joined tonight by someone with a little bit more technical experience discussing wrestling. We're going to introduce a little bit later. They're going to be my co-commentator. We'll get to them. Don't worry. So, with all of the preamble out of the way, let's get right into discussing all of tonight's matches and wrestlers. Look at that smooth transition. Here we go. Let's find out about wrestling matches. Now, first match of the night, we've got Man Like Derice versus The Freakshow. Axel the Clown and Axel's manager, Freaky Felicia. Now, I mean, look, there's two very different ways your eyes could be drawn on this poster, but we're going to start by talking about Man Like Derice. Man Like Derice is a show stealer. He is charismatic, he's got the kind of energy that he walks into a room and instantly everyone's like, oh, hell yeah, I want to see you succeed. He's an incredibly talented wrestler. He's got the build that so many wrestlers would die for in terms of just pure size in the ring. He is a fun wrestler to watch. He is an incredibly skilled wrestler to watch. Now, who's he up against tonight? Now, Man Like Derice is going to be going up against the Freakshow. Now, I've resisted talking about them for long enough. Axel the Clown and Freaky Felicia are a pair of killer clowns. We've got murder clowns on the fight list tonight. I don't know what else to say. Now, a few things you might not know if you've not seen these two wrestle, even if you've not seen them wrestle in the same ring. Axel the Clown is deceptively tall and muscular. Like, you look at him here and go, oh, clown gimmick, how big of a powerhouse could he be? Oh, he's nearly as tall as Man Like Derice. The two stand toe-to-toe very strongly, and I think that if this was a clean match, the two of them could very much, hold their own against each other. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I've been hearing rumours about Freaky Felicia. Now, I don't know how much truth there is to them, but that swirling pattern on the nose, I hear that Freaky Felicia's been picking up some new hobbies, and yeah, let's see how this plays out, because Man Like Derice wouldn't be having an easy time of it, in a straight-faced match, but against killer clowns that maybe have hypnotism powers, it is going to be a fight to remember. This is a match between Derice, who is, Derice is not to be pushed around. He's the Wrestle Carnival World Heavyweight Champion. He's the Slam Masters World Heavyweight Champion. He's half of the North Wrestling Tag Team Championship team right now. But he is going up against a completely muscular killer clown with a hypnotist sidekick. So look forward to an over-the-top battle of strange and beautiful personalities to get the night started off. Now, what do we got next? Let's have a look. Our next match of the night is Jack Maxwell versus Tonga. Now, this is going to be one of the more vicious and violent, intense fights of the night. Look forward to this if you are a fan of wrestlers probably going a little bit beyond the line of where they should in the name of a good fight. Let's start by talking about Jack Maxwell. Jack, what you need to know about Jack is that, in his own words, he's an unhinged sadist. Now, here's how I would describe him. He's got that energy of, Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, but more British. He's violent, he's vicious, but, he's gonna keep a calm smile on his face. He's gonna keep composed. He's not gonna He's not going to let you see he's doing anything more intense or more violent than just taking a nice stroll down the street. So, by comparison, who's Tonga? Well, she's champion of multiple wrestling promotions and just generally well-loved for being charismatic, for being skilled. She is a very beloved wrestler. She knows how to work a crowd and really get people on side. She has the skill to back that up. And she's able to, and I think this is very important for tonight, she's able to take clean, deserved wins from even dirty opponents. She's got the skill and the experience needed to rise above dirty tactics and still push through and come out on top. She's not one to go out without a fight, and she's not gonna let him push her around. Now, if you want a sense of Tonga's vibe, she posted a tweet just before Spectrum Wrestling's Rejoice event, in which she discussed her desire to have a main event match against former British Prime Minister Liz Truss. And in my book, anyone who's willing to face Liz Truss in the ring and rough him up a bit, good in my book. Someone I want to root for, at least. Now, why are these two fighting? Let's talk about Jack. Jack is at this event tonight to, in his own words, beat up the people that everyone cheers on, regardless of who they are. He's not here because he has anything personal against Tonga. He's never had a chance to wrestle her before. There's no bad blood between the pairs, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a motivation to fight her. Jack just really hates that she's popular, that she's achieved more than he has in her career, and that she's got a better reputation in wrestling. He doesn't like that she's liked, particularly that she's liked for being successful and liked just for being nice. And he wants to make her suffer. He wants to lessen some of the crowd's love for her by making them watch her fall. Jack wants to make a statement by beating down someone with loads of positive buzz around them, and he thinks this is his big chance. He's here to be a violent spoil sport and ruin everyone's good time, whereas Tonga is here to give everyone a good time and to prove that coming to a wrestling match just to give everyone a bad time is not how you win matches. And I think that we're certainly going to see the crowd on Tonga's side, which is definitely going to help with that sort of energy and momentum throughout the match. Now, who do we have next? Oh, goodness gracious. Let me pull this up here. So, next up we have the landed Gentry, Zio Knox and Benji. Zio Knox is the one in the blue shirt and Benji's the one in the pink, versus Harley Hudson with the pink armband there, and Chili Heatwave with the intense shorts. So for any of you who are viewers of the Jimquisition or have followed Commander Sterling's UK wrestling matches these past few months, you may already have some awareness of the landed Gentry and their continuous animosity toward Commander Sterling and Spectrum Wrestling in general. So, who are the landed Gentry? Put simply, they're a pair of right-wing arsehole Tories. They're landlords, they're obsessed with gaining wealth at the expense of the poor, and they're just proud to be greedy little right-wing shitbags. So, big question, why are they here tonight at an event that Commander Sterling organised? Well, it wasn't by choice. Commander Sterling has an intern, Craig, who is well and truly useless. Craig was tricked into booking the landed Gentry for a match after a phone call in which the landed Gentry impersonated the commander. And unfortunately, by the time that this was discovered, the contracts have all been signed and there's no getting out of the fact that they are on the card. So, we have a little clip here from Benji, just to give you a sense of the amount of gloating that went on when they discovered they were on the card.
Yeah. Zio, we've heard it all before. If they can't pay the rent, evict them. That's not our problem. I don't care if they've got kids. Anyway, back to the important stuff. Commander Sterling's wrestling show, Spectrum Wrestling in Sheffield. Rejoice, as I say. Anyway, did you get the landed Gentry on? You did? Well, you ran Craig? You impersonated Commander Sterling? And he fell for it? What an idiot! No way! Ah, I can't wait to see the little faces in Sheffield when we turn up. They'll never have seen anyone like us. They're like little rats around there. They all eat out of bins. Yeah. Actually, you're right. It might be good for them. You know, seeing two men like us who've made it in life off our own back. Yeah, pretty good. Well done, Zio. Drinks on you, eh? See you later. Spectrum Wrestling. Sounds good to me.
So, yeah, despicable folks as you see in there. Now, of the two, let's talk about the landed gentry in a bit more specifics. Benji, on the right, in the pink shirt you saw in that little promo, Benji's the planner and the schemer. Benji's the one that you should probably be keeping an eye out for any kind of, like, underhanded plans to try and turn things around, any kind of last-minute maneuvers. Benji's the planner. Now, Zeo Nox, in the blue, he's the muscle. He can take a bunch of hits as if it's nothing, and then deal that damage back again like it's nothing. He's like a Pokemon using counter. He's just going to take in that damage and go, that did nothing, do a really big hit back. You know, Zeo's the heavy lifter, and Benji's there for when you need a sneaky kill. The pair have been wrestling as a tag team since 2017, and this is going to be their first match outside of Newcastle, which doesn't surprise me, because, let's be fair, nowhere else is going to book them outside of their home turf if they don't get tricked into it, right? They're very much likely to cheat in the ring and to try and steal an unearned win, and, like, I say this knowing full well we have very talented referees tonight, and I'll talk about them later. I am not downplaying our referees. I am bigging up the levels of experience, being sneaky and duplicitous as a tag team that the landed gentry have. For the last 5 years, they have done nothing but perfect the art of look at me so that the other person can go do something sneaky. They are master manipulators, and I worry what we might see during the match. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, sometimes I've seen them bring out croquet mallets. You know, they're just going to be nasty little gremlins. They're the worst kind of elites. There's not even a pretense that they earned their wealth. They're just a couple of boys who inherited money, and they think that makes them entitled to, anything they want. They're like Boris Johnson. They might look a little bit bumbling, but that's just to make you underestimate them. They know how to be calculated and hoard wealth from those worse off than themselves. So, I've spent enough time telling you how bad these two on the left are. Here's the thing. With no way to avoid the fact that these two Tory bastards are on the card, Commander Sterling had to fight back the only way they knew how. By booking an awesome pair of competitors to hopefully kick their asses. Harley Hudson and Chili Heatwave. Chili Heatwave, again in the flaming shorts, is a very confident and cheeky wrestler. They love showing off. Doesn't always end well for them, but they enjoy it. Their wrestling persona was born from a love of crisps and lucha libre. Chili promises to take you on an emotional roller coaster. He wants to bring some heat and some crunch to the proceedings. We, in fact, have a little promo from Chili that we're going to play now.
Easy, that's it. All day, baby. Come on, boy. Let's do it, Jimmy. Come on. Right there. Oh, it hurts. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. I was too busy working out. Getting ready. Saturday, 24th. There's a few Tory twats coming down. Landed gentry, landed fucking myself and Harley, we're gonna slap the fucking taste out your mouth. Anyway, let me get back to building some mass. Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Wonderful. Now, let's talk about Harley Hudson, the other half of this tag team. Harley is incredibly talented at being, very nimble, very agile, very just driven, energy reserves that you wouldn't believe. Now, I want to talk about why, look, both sides of this tag team are very skilled wrestlers, but I'm a little bit worried for Harley and Chili, and I want to talk about why. They're both very skilled individual wrestlers, but they've never tag teamed together before. Now, they've come together and tried to tag team together for exactly the right reasons. They have a mutual hatred and disdain of the Conservatives. They have a mutual desire to kick Tory arse. That's what unites them. And if this match goes well, Chili would love to see this become the start of a Tory battling journey with Harley. This could be the beginning of something wonderful, but this is their first time tag teaming together. And as we talked about before, the landed Gentry, 5 years of experience as a tag team pair, particularly talented at how to abuse the tag team system for their own benefit. If we're just playing a completely straight match, you know, I would struggle to pick a winner, but I think that Harley and Chili are going to really have their work cut out for them tonight against the landed Gentry, particularly, you know, given that this is their first time tagging together. So, let's get to the next match, which I believe is the final match of the first half of the event. We have Axel Strife versus Gentleman Jim Maguire in a Tea Party death match. Certainly one of the most unique match types and names we're going to have tonight. What is a Tea Party death match, you might ask? Well, I hear rumour that there might be place settings, fancy china, delicious cakes, nice table spread, and almost certainly the most polite and refined violence you're going to see tonight. So, who are our competitors? Well, let's start by talking about Gentleman Jim Maguire on the right, because of the two wrestlers here, I imagine this is probably the person in this promo shot that your eyes were initially drawn to when I said Tea Party Deathmatch. Gentleman Jim comes from the golden age of British wrestling and hails from the parish of Manchester in the county of Lancaster. He's not good with modern technology, social media, phones without wires, that sort of thing. The only thing without a wire should be the wireless, where you can listen to something that he calls the Light Program. I don't know what that is. He was once an unstoppable force, but time has occurred to him. Some of his strength and some of his speed may have dissipated over time, but you know what he doesn't lack? His mind. He has years of historic wrestling moves that no one's using in the modern scene. He's got classic, historic, you know, fisticuffs style wrestling moves in his repertoire that I feel like anyone who wrestles Gentleman Jim Maguire is going to be caught off guard by quite the eclectic mix of moves that he has access to in his repertoire. He despairs of the rude, crude, ill-mannered youths whom he comes across with their potty mouths and lack of respect. He likes tradition, afternoon tea, and Morris dancing, which, I mean, all feel like they're on the table for tonight's match. His desire is for a return to the glory days, as he puts it. He did request that his match could be in black and white, but that's far more technical effort than we're gonna go through. We want to see the color as these two competitors fight it out. Now let's talk about his opponent, Axel Strife. Axel's a little bit more Greg's pasty than fancy sit-down afternoon tea. In fact, I've seen photos online, and you can find them pretty easily, of Axel wrestling in, no joke, top to toe, Greg's branded wrestling gear. He's a wrestler from Liverpool. He sometimes goes by the name the Rat Man. Now, to put it bluntly, Axel is a loudmouth prick. He loves to make stupid jokes mid-match. He loves disrespecting his opponents for his own amusement, for his own advantage. So let's get into why these two in particular are fighting tonight. Why are these two having a Tea Party death match? Well, part of it is that, you know, these two just have naturally opposing personalities, but there's something a little bit more specific going on. Axel puts his milk in first when making a cup of tea, rather than after the tea bag has had time to steep in the hot water. Now, Gentleman Jim gave me a very lengthy explanation about this. I'm going to boil it down to you. If you put the milk in first and then the tea bag, the milk molecules block all the little pores in the tea bag. So then when you add the hot water doesn't get into the tea bag and the tea doesn't get out of the tea bag. You end up with a really bad cup of tea, and Gentleman Jim can't let that kind of barbarism stand. Axel thinks that Gentleman Jim's sweet, polite nature, by comparison, he thinks it's a pretentious facade. He doesn't believe that Gentleman Jim is the gentleman he presents himself to be, and he aims to show that being polite, sweet, and well-behaved is not how you win a wrestling match. You know, he wants to beat the facade out of Gentleman Jim. Gentleman Jim wants a rules-following, above-board, you know, gentlemanly affair, but Axel Strife, yeah, he's not here to be dignified. He's here to get results and to prove that Gentleman Jim is not as polite as he alleges to be. We do have a promo here from Axel.
Ah, Mr. Maguire. I've been expecting you. You see, I don't appreciate this terminology you're throwing my way, calling me a scallywag or a filthy peasant. Oh, words hurt. And you see, I don't think you're much of a gentleman yourself. You're the type of man who, when getting off the bus, you don't thank the driver. You're the type of man, when someone sneezes, you don't say, bless you. You're the type of man, when you go into a building, you don't hold the door open for the next person. And that is no gentleman. That's more like a rough man. And so, I'm going to teach you some proper etiquette this Saturday at Spectrum Wrestling, where I challenge you to a D-Cup deathmatch party, where I'm going to terrorise you and show you the British ways. Imagine that smashed into a million little pieces. That's going to be you this Saturday, September the 24th, which is the day after my birthday. So if anyone wants to give me a present or wish me well, that would be appreciated. But not you, Mr. Maguire, because I'm going to challenge you to a duel and slap you silly. See you Saturday.
So yeah, that was interesting. Now let's get back to Gentleman Jim Maguire for a second. He is here tonight to teach Axel a lesson about how a real gentleman should behave, and plans to, if necessary, teach him some manners by force. Now we have a promo from Gentleman Jim as well, and we're going to run that now.
Right, this is definitely filming, isn't it? And you're sure you don't have to keep winding the camera? You're sure? All right, thank you. Mr. Strife, firstly, many happy returns. Secondly, I think you have grossly underestimated what sort of a gentleman I am. I will admit I do not use the omnibus as much as I once did, but when I did ride the omnibus, I never failed to thank the coachman, and I never failed to hold doors open for people. In fact, I shall be holding the door open for you after I have beaten you on Saturday night. I bid you good evening.
Wonderful. Now let's get on to the next match. We have got the comedian Nathan Black versus Gene Money. Now, this is going to be a bit of a dogfight. This is between a puppy-themed wrestler and that damn dirty dog. So, let's talk about the comedian Nathan Black. Now, despite what his name might suggest, the comedian Nathan Black is not a silly kind of guy, at least, not in the ring. He's got the nickname The Comedian because he is a comedian. He goes around, telling jokes all around the country, all around the world, but he thinks there is a time and a place for silliness, and that is, in a comedy club. It's not in the wrestling ring. He is here to bring some seriousness to professional wrestling, and finds his opponent, Gene Money, to be altogether too silly. He doesn't think that Gene Money is taking professional wrestling nearly seriously enough. Now, before we play Nathan's promo, I do want to say, Nathan, have you been watching professional wrestling? There is a lot of silliness out there, and if you want to take aim at every wrestler who's a little bit silly in the ring, you're going to have a big list of people you need to fight. Anyway, let's pull up this promo from the comedian Nathan Black.
Gene Jiminy, Gene Jiminy, Gene Gingeroo. I'm an opponent at Spectrum, and boy, it's you. Gene Jiminy, Gene Jiminy, Gene Gingery. They should rename you Gene Condromany. Just a silly little song there for you, Gene, because I knew you were a silly kind of guy, pretending to be a dog and all that. But Gene, I ain't a silly kind of guy. Not at all. In fact, quite the contrary. There I am, trying to bring back some legitimacy to this fine sport. And there you are, parading around with championship belts that you had made online because you can't win any for yourself. Oh, you're just the worst. You are just the worst. People like me and Eugene, they shouldn't breathe the same air. And yet you are still making progress. Literally. You know, I don't get it, dog boy. You are built like a pit bull. Yet you parade around like a chihuahua, which is basically a fucking cat. And I hate cats. So I'll be seeing you in just a couple of days, Genie Weenie. Don't you forget to bring that dog collar of yours, though, because I'm going to be walking you around that ring, and I'm going to make you bark like a dog. Woof, woof, woof. Disgusting. Oh, bark like a dog. Oh, that damn dirty dog.
I'm going to cut that there to make sure that we don't get in trouble on YouTube. Yeah, so that's Nathan Black. And as you may have caught during that promo, his opponent tonight, Gene Money, has a bit of a dog theme to his wrestling persona. As Nathan puts it, Gene pretends to be a dog. You might see Gene tonight wrestling in a dog collar. Maybe he's going to bring out the Gene Money Championship belt of Gene Money belt, which is adorned with a delightful picture of a dog giving a thumbs up. He may have made it for himself, doesn't make it any less legitimate. I think I may have even occasionally seen him wrestle with a dog tail on his shorts or at the back of his jacket, so look forward to that. Here's the thing, I don't know about you, I very much support folks having a bit of fun with a collar and pretending to be an animal if that's what you're into. No kink shaming here, Spectrum Wrestling is a kink shaming free event. More power to the puppies that are out there watching, but all love to the furries. The comedian Nathan Black thinks that this is all just a little too silly. He doesn't want this involved in his wrestling. He aims to have Gene Money defeated and, as he said in his promo, led around on a leash by the time this match is done. Now, that all said, having watched some clips of Gene Money fighting, I think that part of the silly demeanor is a fighting tactic. Gene Money is an incredibly talented wrestler. He is a very talented wrestler, and so is Nathan Black. But I think the big deciding factor here between these two powerhouses is who's taking the other seriously enough and who's playing those mind games. Gene can pull off some seriously impressive, technically skilled moves in a fight. That he hides behind the silly facade. Nathan Black, by comparison, he's very talented. But he's arrogant, he's self-assured, and he's certain he's the best around. When I spoke to him before the event, by his own description, he's that damn dirty dog, and he wants to swing around an ego that is bigger than his collection of expensive high-end cars he apparently has. Nathan Black is here to basically try and beat Gene Money into obedience and knock some of the silliness out of him. And I'm going to be... I shouldn't pick sides, but I'm going to be rooting for Gene, because I want to see the silly dog person win. I want to see a world where professional wrestling has room for someone who is talented and also can have fun in the ring, So let's come to the next match. Oh, wonderful! We're getting toward the end of our card now. Here's a rundown on a match that I know a lot of you are going to be dying to see, particularly if you've come here from Commander Sterling's other work on YouTube. Spectrum Wrestling's co-founder and pro wrestling's pansexual princess of pansexual pandemonium. I think I put pansexual in there too many times. Commander Sterling is going to be up against PCW champion Priscilla, Queen of the Ring. So, here's a little background about this match. Commander Sterling and Priscilla, Queen of the Ring, have fought alongside each other. They did so a couple of months ago back at PCW's Wacky Rumble, which, for context, was a wrestling event at a venue that included a giant inflatable obstacle course that one of the matches took part on. Now, outside of that, Commander Sterling and Priscilla, Queen of the Ring, don't have any prior history fighting against each other or any animosity they're trying to work out. So, why this pair of competitors for tonight's match? Well, as this is Commander Sterling's very own wrestling promotion, their very first one, they got to select their own opponent, and they chose to face off against Priscilla. Basically, here's the deal. These two respect the hell out of each other. The Commander wanted their first match to be, at their very own promotion, to be against someone just as fabulous in the ring as they are. Someone with just as much showmanship ability, so much pizzazz in the ring. Now, I know that for many of you watching who've come here from Commander Sterling's other work, the instinct is going to be to cheer for Commander Sterling, because that's the wrestler you know, the one that some of you have already followed, but this fight has no heroes and villains, and I will make that clear. Nobody's coming to this fight for duplicitous reasons. No one's here for any underhanded tactics. This is just two fabulous wrestlers here to show you what they've got to flaunt. And I would usually refrain from, putting any input on who you should or shouldn't cheer for, but, I want to see the love during this match for both of these competitors. They're both fabulous, and they both deserve to be recognised as such, at least until one of them does something that deserves booing, and then all gloves are off, you can go wild. Because here's the thing, no matter who wins tonight's match here, this particular match, everyone's ultimately going to win by getting to see these two stars battle it out. It's going to be delightful. And we are now up to the final main event match of the night. We have Gia Adams versus Mercedes Blaze, two of the UK's hardest hitting women who have never fought each other before, being placed against each other for the first time. So let's talk a little bit about both of our competitors. We'll start with Gia Adams. Gia Adams is 22, from the northeast of England, been wrestling for 6.5 years. Gia Adams is an incredibly talented wrestler who is very young, new to the game, energy out the wazoo. Like, Gia Adams is here to just be wind them up and watch them go. I've very rarely seen such enthusiasm, talent, drive, and sheer willingness to throw yourself as an opponent as Gia Adams has. And that's backed up by technical skill. It's not just enthusiasm, it's enthusiasm that is powered by something meaningful. Now, Gia's going to be going up against Mercedes Blaze, who is a very talented wrestler, but from a very different perspective. Mercedes Blaze is a very talented wrestler who has been in the game a lot longer than Gia Adams. Mercedes has years and years of experience of fighting against basically every kind of wrestler you could imagine, seen every kind of sneaky tactic, every kind of move you might have to know how to counter. Mercedes has experience on her side, and that is going to be tricky to overcome. This is basically a match of two very talented wrestlers, but one of them is maybe lacking in as much experience, but is definitely driven and energetic and unpredictable, a complete wild card. Whereas Mercedes is going to have the experience to see what's coming and to try and prepare counters, try and come up with strategies a few moves in advance. Will that be enough to get over the unpredictable, young, sort of new energy that G is bringing to the table? Who knows? These two have wrestled alongside each other very briefly in Rumbles, but they've never fought against each other, and as I said, these are two of the UK's hardest hitting women wrestlers. These are two of the best wrestlers in the country right now. You're going to get to watch the very first time these two face off against each other. Look forward to it. I'm excited. Now that all of tonight's main sort of planned matches have been discussed, I'm gonna do a little bit of shouting out to some people. So, before we head over to watch all of the nicely edited matches, I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of people you'll be seeing or hearing from tonight. Referee Lee Thomas and Sandy Beaches, these are our two referees tonight. They are both incredibly talented referees. I would put any amount of trust in them. Now, that said, there are some very experienced sneaky wrestlers, so if anything sneaks past these two tonight, it is not for their lack of skill, but for the exceptional levels of sneaky duplicitousness that I've come to expect from some of these wrestlers. These two are going to be in great hands with tonight. They are some of the best referees that you could hope to have for a debut event. On top of that, my co-commentator, who we mentioned earlier, for all of tonight's fancy edited matches that you're about to watch, is the one and only Liam Slater. He's the current North Wrestling Champion. He's one of the UK's best and most respected wrestling trainers. He makes his home right here at PPW. Well, I mean, not right here. I'm not in PPW recording this. But right in PPW, we're going to be seeing all those matches we're going to be talking about. It's an honour to have him by my side discussing all of the wonderful wrestling you're about to see. In addition, I want to give a quick shout out to Simon Miller as well, who was in attendance at the live event and was my other half on the commentary team during the evening's live stream. He was about. Maybe that will be relevant. Who knows? He is a very talented wrestler and also a wrestling critic, and he's a delight. So, that's everything. 35 minutes. That's pretty alright. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I'm gonna go head over to the wrestling commentary where you'll hear me and Liam Slater telling you all about all of the matches. Enjoy.